All right, I'm joined here in the Hilltopper Softball Preview show alongside head coach Lindsey Gardner. Lindsey, welcome to the preview.
Thank you very much.
Let's talk some Hilltopper softball.
All right.
First year you go to regionals, make it to the championship game. Second year you take it one step further, super regionals. Where do you see this team going this year?
Well, we have a lot of talent returning and some speed and some power coming in this year. So I feel like hopefully we'll make another postseason run at it. But, the national championship is always on our mind, and we'd just like a chance to get to the World Series and compete for one.
Well, let's talk about that first step, and that's the Heartland Conference play. How do you see the Heartland Conference shaping up this year, and what do you think your chances are?
Well, we've got a lot of new teams coming in. St. Mary's and Texas A&M are always very good competition for us. So, I know that the recruiting is getting better and better for all of these teams. So, once we get to conference play, hopefully we're playing our best, and hopefully we'll be competing for that championship and try to take it this year.
Of course, preceding conference play, you've got some pretty big tournaments coming up. You got the St. Mary's one, and then also the Alabama Huntsville, a new one on the schedule this year. Talk about those teams you're playing there and what it will do for you throughout the season.
Well, we're starting off hot and heavy. We've got Angelo State that very first game. We always see great competition in the St. Mary's tournament, so it's a good test right in the beginning of season to kind of see where we're at. And again, with Huntsville, they're always in the top 25. So those first 2 weekends are going to be a tough test for us and kind of see where we land on that map. Regardless, it'll be early on in the season and just give us a good idea of the things that we need to work on to try to make it to postseason play.
So let's talk about a little bit about the players now,
Sure.
and the speed and the power that you talked about.
Right.
Take me around the infield.
Infield can we're going to see a couple different faces in there possibly. Katie Carney is a junior transfer from Blinn. She brings a lot of power at the plate, but very strong arm. We could see her at third, possibly first base. Kendall Lucas will probably be returning back at the shortstop position. Other players you could see there: Tori Gonzalez, she's a junior this year, and freshman Alex Mayfield. At second base, Casey Olson will probably be playing there. Kendall could also play over at second. And then we've got Lauren Brode, Samantha Gilmore, and Katie Carney can also play over at first. KP Perch would also be another person at first base, but we hope to see her behind the plate a little bit more this year as well.
So you led right into behind the plate. Talk about your catching position.
Well, Faith Roberts, caught most of the games last year for us. We also saw KP Perch back there, but we also will have Marissa Bogart competing for that position, and that's just going to be one with the bats. So.
Okay. Well, let's go with their battery mate, and who's going to be on the mound this year? You got all three pitchers returning from last year, plus Katie Carney also.
Right. Yeah, Katie Carney will get a couple innings here and there. She throws a little bit harder than our other three pitchers. Emily Mayfield, you'll see kind of come back in there as well. She mixes it up with a lot of spin. And then we have Sarah DeBro and Caitlin Klug, who are returning. It's hard to say who's an ace with both of them. They're very good at what they do. Mix speeds well, throw a lot of down pitches, and with our defense, I feel like our defense is pretty good. They like to play a lot, so we get a lot of ground balls, and that tends to make us successful. So very excited for Caitlin and Sarah to get back on the mound, and they're just as excited.
Well, I guess if you can't tell who the ace is, then maybe you have two aces.
Exactly, I'll take two aces.
That's a good problem.
Absolutely.
Let's go around the outfield now. What do you see out in the outfield shaping up?
We've got lots of speed in the outfield this year. So both of our freshmen, Alex Mayfield and Bria Witten, bring a ton of speed. Bria's got a great arm in the outfield. We probably see her in right field. Other people in right field could be Tori Gonzalez, Marissa Bogart, Laura Alvarado, a ton of speed there as well. Center field could be Emily Mayfield, could be Sydney Irvin. Both of those are very quick. And then Alex Mayfield, possibly Bria over in left field. So lots of options. It really is just going to be one with the bats. Whoever's hitting the ball is probably going to be in the lineup.
It seems like you've got a team that can play multiple positions.
Absolutely.
A lot of players. So I guess finding that right mix in the first 2 weekends is key.
Oh yeah, we're going to be mixing things up a lot, kind of see who fits well where, and communication is key on defense. So those players who step up and know where to go with the ball, and basically you got to think 2 plays ahead when we're playing defense, and we do that very well. So Again, it's going to be whoever wins it with the bats, and that's kind of how we always played, and it tends to work for us.
Well, fall softball is usually about getting better, practicing. Right. You do have a few scrimmages and whatnot, but one's kind of gets to you a little bit of defeating your former team in UT,
right. Yeah.
6-0, shutting them out on the Longhorn.
6-1.
Oh,
they
sorry,
did get
6-1.
one. Yeah, they did get one.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Talk about how that feels and what that meant to the team.
Right. To be quite honest, I mean, obviously it was a big high for us. That was our very first fall game. Beat them 6-1. We ran a lot. We put the pressure on them with the short game. So I think it's a confidence booster for us to see that we can run on teams, and we can play small ball, and we can cause a lot of pressure, and that's kind of been our game from the get-go since we got here. So to add in some power with the right-handed bats, it's just going to hopefully get us more runs on the board throughout the season. And I feel like if we can score 2 or 3 runs a game with our pitching and our defense, I feel like we're going to be very successful. So with our defense and pitching on point, that's going to be our goal, is to get in there, put some pressure on the defense, cause them to make some mistakes, and score lots of runs. If we can do that, I think we'll hopefully see ourselves in postseason play.
Well, Coach, the last 2 seasons when you've reached the regional round, you've been seated in the lower half of the bracket.
Right.
But it seems like your team is always prepared when they get there to perform on the national stage, much like the Texas game. What is it that you coach or that the players bring to the team that allow them to make such a good impact?
I think I think throughout the season they gain the experience. The first 2 weekends, you never know what team's going to show up. It's never an indication of what your team is going to be like. It's just a marker of what you need to work on to get prepared for conference play. So I think that once they settle down a little bit throughout the first month of play, we get into conference play, and they just get a little bit more comfortable playing with new players on the field. Players start to get in the groove in the box. So by the time we come to postseason play, a lot of the times when we lost a game, it was because we beat ourselves. Very rarely do I feel like somebody beats us. There are definitely teams that beat us, that were better than us on a certain day, but a lot of times we didn't do the things that we do well. And that would have been a reason why we lost a game. And I think that we're more confident in certain abilities by the time the end of the season rolls around. And so when we actually do get into postseason play, we have the confidence that we know that we can win those games. And we've been lucky the last 2 years and have brought it at the right time.
Well, Coach, I know I'm excited about the first weekend of February. I'm sure you and your team are as well.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us on the Hilltopper Softball Preview.
Thank you.
And that'll do it here at the Hilltop. Hey, Coach Lindsey Gardner, I'm Logan Lawrence. Until next time.
Welcome back, Hilltopper fans. We're talking Hilltopper softball as we continue our Hilltopper softball preview. I'm standing alongside Sports Information Director Logan Lawrence. I'm Justin Simmons. Logan, thank you again for taking over that interview with Coach Lindsey Gardner. Sometimes the schedules just don't meet up.
No problem. It was fun.
But, I already saw the video. Again, tremendous work. But this another tremendous thing will be this Hilltopper softball team come the spring. And it's because there's been improvement every year on the Hilltop.
Absolutely. Since head coach Lindsey Gardner, assistant coach Kat Osterman have arrived on the Hilltop, they've created some success that is building and still building. First year they go to regionals, make it to the regional championship game. Second year they win regionals and make it to the super regionals. Some would say the next step in the third year possibly could be the World Series. I know that's always the goal, the end goal in sight, but you got to start with conference play, and that's always the key. You never want to look too far ahead. And I think the Hilltoppers have done that, and that's why they've been so successful the last 2 years.
Talking about conference play, it's always been tough toward the end of the season. As we know, the I-35 rivalry, the Battle of the Saints, usually decides who's going to get a chance to host and possibly win the Heartland Conference tournament. This season, how do you think things are shaping up schedule-wise for the Hilltoppers in softball?
Well, I don't know if the schedule makers just know this beforehand or something, but we're scheduled against St. Mary's for the last series of the regular season.
Oh.
But we're hosting this year, so that is good news for the Hilltoppers. It's going to be an exciting weekend that weekend, but it doesn't come down to that last weekend usually. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, but it's what you do in the first part of the season and with the other conference teams that counts. It's a very tough conference, added a couple of teams. Got some strong regional competition through the tournaments in the first part of the season. So it's a long journey. It's a long schedule to get to where that last series in the regular season becomes a factor. I know you always look towards that, but at the same time, you don't get too far ahead of yourself.
Well, no, it's a struggle, and the players have to understand that. But from what I understand, there's a lot of good players coming back for this season.
Absolutely. You have a pitching staff that returns. All 3 pitchers from last year return. Sarah DeBro, Caitlin Klug, and Emily Mayfield. All 3 return. All 3 have experience. All 3 have not only experience, but success, proven success. And it really carried the team last year. And you also have a newcomer, Katie Carney, who will also take the mound as well.
Well, the big thing about those pitchers, though, like you said, not just experience, but also big game experience as well.
Absolutely.
They've been in big, high-pressure situations and come through for the Hilltoppers many times.
Absolutely. The work that Sarah DeBro did at the regional tournament was outstanding. 3 games of just, she was almost unhittable. And then Caitlin Klug gaining the experience she did in the super regional was really great. Emily Mayfield also had some experience as well throughout the season. And the 3 of them, you can't say it enough about game time experience. Practice is good and all, but, until you do it on the big stage, it's a different story.
Exactly. How do they look out in the outfield and infield and behind and at the plate?
Well, you've got Faith Roberts coming back as a catcher. She stepped into that role last year and did an excellent job, not only behind the plate, working with the pitchers, but at the plate as well as a hitter. You have Lauren Brode, who's one of the 2 seniors on the team at first base. The other senior being Kendall Lucas at shortstop. You have Casey Olson, who did an excellent job her freshman year last year at second base. And the third base is kind of a toss-up because we had 2 seniors graduate that played third base. And third base is kind of a toss-up because we had 2 seniors graduate last year that did a lot of good things. Brianna Bozon, Allie Valdez, both of those 2, some pretty good sticks in the lineup, and also good defenders over at the hot corner as well. So we'll be looking for someone to step into that role here in the 2014 season.
So we got the infield, we got the pitchers. What about the outfield?
Well, the outfield, of course, she returned Sydney Irving. ESPN Top 10 Sports Center play of the day with her diving catch against UT. By the way, the Hilltoppers knocked off the Longhorns at McCombs Field. So a pretty special moment there.
Whenever it happens, it's always
absolutely.
good.
But Sydney Irving returns. You also have some newcomers that will be added to the mix. Alex Mayfield, who is, I would say, a freak athlete. She's fast. She can hit for power. She's a slap hitter. Her defense is outstanding. We also have Bree Witten, who will also place an outfield as well. Also, you have a couple of mainstays that have been in the lineup. Marissa Bogart, who has played. She's a junior this year. She's had some valuable time in the outfield and is an accomplished hitter. You also have Laura Alvarado, who did an excellent job as a freshman last year, that could be added to the mix. So quite a few talented players in the outfield.
Logan, well, it sounds like this team is pretty much complete. They have pitching. They have a catcher that can call a game, that can also hit at the plate. You have an infield that doesn't have too many errors, and you got an outfield that can hit and has tremendous speed all around. Where do you see this Hilltopper squad ending up at the end of the year?
Well, obviously you think they're in the mix for another regional appearance. First they have to take care of conference play and not only hopefully finish at the top, but advance to the NCAA tournament through the tournament. Now when you get to the regional tournament, that's all up to the team there. You just have to be running and hitting on all cylinders when you get to that moment. It's about who's hot at the end of the year. We were seeded 7th last year in the regional tournament. Well, we won the regional tournament, so it's all about who's hot and who's playing well together as a team at that moment.
Basically, you just got to get in there, ride the hot streak, and hopefully that you can sustain the momentum until you win the championship and move on to the next round, correct?
Absolutely. And, you've got 2 of the best coaches when it comes to postseason experience and playing on a national stage in Lindsey Gardner and Kat Osterman. So I'm sure that's starting to rub off on the players a little bit.
Well, fans, it's going to be another fantastic season for the Hilltoppers in the softball arena. Why don't you come and check them out here at Diane Daniels Field on the campus of St. Edward's University. And, of course, we're going to be hosting that game against St. Mary's this year at the very end of the season. So if you can't make anything else, don't miss that one. The Battle of the Saints is always a great matchup. So, again, our softball Hilltopper preview for Logan Lawrence. I'm Justin Simmons, and thank you once again for watching.
And the bass keeps running and running and running and running and running. running and running, running and running, running and running, running and running, running and.
In this context, there's no disrespect. When I bust my rhyme, y'all break your necks. We got 5 minutes for us to disconnect from all intellect and let the rhythm affect. Lose inhibition, follow intuition. Free your inner soul and break away from tradition. Cause when we beat out, girl, it's pulling it out. You wouldn't believe how we wild this stuff out. Burn until it's burned out, turn until it's turned out. Act up from northwest, east and south now.
Everybody, everybody, let's get into it. Get stupid.
Come on.
Let's get started.
Come on.
Get started.
Yeah.
Get started.
Yeah.
Let's get it started and hot. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started and hot. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started and hot. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started and hot. Let's get it started in here.
Lose control of body and soul. Don't move too fast, people, just take it slow. Don't get ahead, jump into it. Y'all hear about it in the P's, y'all do it. Get started, get stupid. Don't worry about it, people will walk you through it step by step. Into the new kid, inch by inch with the new solution. Transmit hits with no delusion. The feeling's irresistible and that's